Prepare to be astounded. February 1865, City Point, Virginia. The agony of the Civil War drags on and on. President Lincoln is touring the front, and in the course of that tour, happens on a field hospital filled with Confederate sick and wounded. The ranking officer conducting the tour stops him and says, "Mr. President, you can't go in that tent. It's full of Rebs." And this is what Abraham Lincoln should have said. "Well, thanks for the warning. Certainly don't want to waste my time on that rabble. They're the ones responsible for all this death and destruction. Damn them all to hell." And that's not what he said. What he said was, "That's the very place I mean to go." And he stepped inside. And there inside that tent, among all those sick and wounded, was one Henry L. Benbow, a colonel in the 23rd South Carolina Artillery. Colonel Benbow takes up the story. "I was lying on my back with my hands folded across my breast when the president approached me and extended his hand toward me. 'Sir,' I said, 'do you realize who it is to whom you offer your hand?' 'I do not,' he said. 'Will you offer your hand to a Confederate colonel who has fought you as hard as ever he could for 4 long years?' 'Well, I hope a Confederate colonel will not refuse me his hand.' 'No, sir, I will not.' And I clasped his hand in both of mine. I first ran across that story when I was doing research on my calendar-based book, Lincoln 365. And perhaps like you, I was deeply impressed by the sheer force of this man's personality, capable of enticing profound change in someone he didn't even know. But that wasn't the first time I ran across that particular Lincoln characteristic. No, that happened when I was a teacher, would you believe, in a California state prison. And how did Lincoln make it into my classroom in that prison? Well, as a writing prompt to begin with, but I quickly discarded that idea as being too clunky, took up too much of my time. I was looking for something short and sharp. Boom. And so I hit on this idea of reading excerpts from what came to be my book, Lincoln 365, in the morning and just leaving it. Read it and leave it, no comment. Tomorrow I would read tomorrow's excerpt. And I took 365 days to get to yesterday's. Slow and sure, not quick and shallow. Read it one a day. And the greatest compliment I ever got on my book came from inmate Wilson, who told me one day, "Kunst, I really like coming to school on a Monday because we had Lincoln 3 times." Because I would have 3 separate occasions to account for the Saturday and Sunday entries as well as the Monday. And what kind of entries were they? Well, I'll read a few, and you be the judge. You're standing in line for your Starbucks mocha, and how, if at all, would these astound you? I happen temporarily to occupy this big white house. I'm living witness that any one of your children may look to come here as my father's child has, Abraham Lincoln. Everyone sooner or later sits down to a banquet of consequences, Robert Louis Stevenson. I never had a policy. I just tried to do my very best each and every day, Abraham Lincoln. Sell your cleverness and purchase bewilderment, Viktor Frankl. Well, for those who like that sort of thing, I should think it's just about the sort of thing they would like, Abraham Lincoln. All the world's a stage, and most of us are desperately unrehearsed. Shallow Casey. And how were these guys impacted? Well, not as dramatically as Colonel Benbow, but the slow, sure thing, that steady drip, drip thing worked. And the reason it worked was because of subliminal advertising, which is illegal precisely because it impacts without thought, especially on a cumulative basis. And what kind of changes did I notice? Well, my guys took on some of Lincoln's quality of self-deprecating humor, being comfortable living inside his own skin, and particularly Lincoln's ability to see the other guy's point of view. And as I approached retirement, this idea surfaced. If Lincoln could impact wife beaters and drug dealers to the point where they saw the other guy's point of view, he just might impact the silly, sad state of our political discourse in this country. And particularly young people. A cynic might say, those fossils we've saddled ourselves with in Washington and Sacramento and everywhere else, they're a dead loss, but not the young people coming up. University students particularly, because they're our leaders of tomorrow. What would happen if we could put in their hands a battle-tested idealist who won out massively in the end and didn't sell his soul to do it? If I just rang your bell and you know any, you have access to any young people at the university level, give me a call. And let's see if together, you and I, to paraphrase Steve Jobs, might make a dent in our political universe. Thanks for your time.